Hello, friends. It's good to be with us again today. Welcome to my Desert Encounter, medium where I share with you all that God has been teaching me over the years. We have been digging deep into wisdom, and God has been taking us through a journey. I've been blessed sharing some of these things that the Lord has taught me over the past almost 15 years now. And I believe that God has been blessing you too. If you are a newcomer, probably you saw the link somewhere and you stumbled on this, please subscribe to this channel and also refer us to your friends and family, because I believe that God has a word in this season for everyone. Also, if you're returning, it's good to have you again. I would like to read your comments. I would like to read words from you so that I can know how God has been blessing you, how God has been transforming you. I've been getting mails and a lot of feedbacks, and I appreciate those who have taken out time to send in those messages. And if you're yet to, please know that I would love to hear from you, so that if there are things that we need to adjust, we can take note of that and do that. So, welcome again to my Desert Encounter. We stopped at wisdom for finance, and I want to take a brief pause on that and take us through another journey of wisdom. I've always said it right from the first time we began to learn about the wisdom of God, that wisdom cuts across every single area of our life. And if God can make you wise, especially in regards to the decisions that you make, you will find out that life is actually easy. My people, says the scripture, perish for lack of knowledge. And one of the reasons for struggles in life is because men lack wisdom. And I want to look at another area of life whereby wisdom is needed. Interestingly, many people trivialize this area, but I feel very strongly, out of the things that the Lord has opened my eyes to, that this might be one of the most trivialized area, but the most important area of our life. I want to quickly take us on a journey of wisdom for relationships. And when I'm talking about relationship, I'm not talking just about spouse or um, those who we are so acquainted to. I'm talking about every form of relationship in your life. You're going to meet people. The moment you are born, you start meeting people. You must be wise. God must teach you the wisdom to manage those relationships. And by the special grace of God, that's the journey I want us to take. For the next probably 2 or 3 episodes, we'll be looking at wisdom for relationship. Knowing how to discern a person's role in your life and then correctly placing them at the proper level is a priceless skill that you must develop. Once you are wise enough to discern a person's role and then you can place them correctly, everything about your life begins to change, because then you know those who to pay attention to. You also know those who to discard. You also know those who you really don't need to invest time in. Time is valuable. It's a valuable asset that you have. And one of the places you spend it is in relationships. So, lack of discernment of people's role in your life means that you might be spending precious time, precious investment in the wrong set of people. And at the end of the day, you break down because those people are not yielding the kind of resources that you want from that investment. I want us to realize something today, that the heart of man is desperately wicked, and it's the Bible that said that. And the heart itself is extremely deceitful. Nobody can know it, and that's why you need wisdom to discern men. You can be so great to someone and then you won't know that the person is planning evil for you. An example is the story of Joseph and his brother. When you look at that kind of relationship, you will consider that brothers should be the best friends of each other. But surprisingly, the brothers are still the ones that were planning to kill him because he had a dream. I want you to understand something today. That if God can help you to discern relationship accurately, you will get into less trouble. I've seen people go into prison not because of what they did, but what their friend did. I've seen people get into the worst crisis of their life, not because of what they were doing, but because of what somebody else was doing, and they decided to have that person as a close relationship in your life. People have failed because of who they married. Oh, I'm sure you have read so many stories, you've seen so many things that some are where they are today, and when they trace the reason why they are there, it's just because of relationship. Let me give you an example. When you look at the story of Jonah, Jonah was disobedient to God's instruction from Jonah chapter 1 down to Jonah chapter 5 and was traveling to Nineveh. The Bible said he entered into a ship traveling to Tarshish. God told him go to Nineveh, but he decided, no, I want to go to Tarshish. He entered into a ship. That's what the Bible said. And because God wanted to use him, God came with a storm against that ship. Now, the men who were in that ship were traders, and because they wanted to save their life, they felt that it was because of what they had in the ship that was causing that storm. And if the ship was a bit lighter, they would be safe. So the next thing these men began to do was to take their resources and practically throw it into the ocean. Many of them lost all that they had. And guess what Jonah, the reason for the problem, was doing? The Bible said he was sleeping. The reason for their storm was sleeping while they were losing things. While all of them were crying unto their God, they discovered that Jonah was sleeping. By the time they woke him up, they realized that he was the reason for their problem until they threw him out of that ship. Do you know that every man also has a life that is like a ship that people come into? You look at things like partnership, a business. Somebody comes into your ship of business and becomes your partner, so you have something called a partnership. And before you know it, the business crashes, not because of you, but because of somebody who should not have been given that space. What of fellowship? People come into a church setting, a fellowship, and then begins to sow discord. Probably they make that person a leader, and before you know it, that one person destroys the entire meeting. Relationship, courtship, so many ships that our life has, and strange men step into that ship, and because of one bad decision, which signifies a lack of wisdom, great things are destroyed. So more than ever before, I want you to begin to open up your mind to realize that you must be so wise in terms of your relationship. Let me tell you something that God has helped me to do over the years is not to trivialize life. Somebody might be listening to me and saying, so I need to be careful about who I meet also. I'm saying to you, yes. Because evil communication, the Bible says, it affects, it destroys, it corrupts even good manners. And I personally have learned to trust God in everything I do. I learned that from Proverbs chapter 3, from verse 4 to 7. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. As trivial as friendship or relationship may be to you, scriptures is saying, lean not on your own understanding. And in all your ways, it says acknowledge him. And if you acknowledge him, he will direct your path. There are 5 kinds of relationships that God has showed me, and I want to say it to you today because I want you to use this as your analysis of men when they begin to come to your life. So when a man comes into your life, rate them in this order. I know that this is going to cause probably a couple of issues because probably immediately I'm done with this, some people are going to send me messages to ask me, sir, what role do I play in your life? And I know that when you begin to do this also, people might come to you and ask you, what role am I really in your life? But this, Either ways are the 5 things that are the roles that you should place men as you encounter them. And I'm going to start with number 1. Number 1 is called strangers. A stranger is somebody that you know nothing about. And that is always the first level of relationship with anybody. Everybody begins first as a stranger. You see, one of the things that you must understand about strangers is that they are not in your life for anything permanent. You might encounter them, but there is nothing so permanent that they have come for. They might just be part of your life's journey. And when somebody's just a stranger, you don't commit valuable things to them. A stranger is like a foreigner. Somebody leaves his home country and travels to a foreign land. That person is a foreigner and a stranger to the rules of that place. Is a stranger to the behavior of that culture. He may know about it, but he knows about it only to the limit of what he wants to enjoy from that place. And if you have seen anyone, if you have traveled to a new nation before and you are a stranger, one of the things you will see is that not many things is committed to you. You cannot become a president of a country that you're a visitor. You cannot get access to some facilities except you pay out of, you stress yourself to make those payments. You can't just go to a place as a stranger and decide that you want to enter into some places. No, because you are a stranger. There will be men like that. And you see, many strangers, all they are looking for is how to take from you. That's what happens when you're a visitor, when you're a stranger to a land and you go for visiting. You're looking for how to just buy, satisfy your pleasure, and return home. That's how a stranger is also. Recognize people who are trying to be parasitic. They are just in your life to quickly get something and dash out. When you encounter those kind of people, by their character of not wanting to embrace all of you, but just to enjoy the part of you that benefits them, then you should recognize that those kind of people, you also cannot invest in them. That is why before any nation will give anybody citizenship, permanent residency, they ensure that not only do you satisfy some requirements, you stay for a long time. Anybody who does not give you adequate attention and reception does not deserve also so many of the valuable things that your life has. Regard those men as strangers. They are not evil. It's just that the level that you need to place them is the level of a stranger. People who don't want to learn your tongue, they know that you're a believer, but they're unwilling to subscribe to your level of integrity. And yet they want you in their life because of what they get. People who have seen the good about you, they want it, but they're not ready to invest much, except it satisfies them. Then those people should be considered as strangers. You see, more also, a stranger is anybody who is not even in your faith. For example, somebody who is not a believer is a stranger to you, no matter how beautiful you want to call that relationship. Because if push comes to shove, you will be shocked at what those kind of people will do to you. So learn the first kind of relationship that you will have, and it is the relationship of many strangers. The second kind of relationship is called acquaintances. Acquaintances, there are people that they may not be friends, but you see, they are not also strangers, because you know a few things about them, and also they know a few things about you. But you see, there is something about acquaintances. It is a relationship built on convenience and never sacrifice. So, one of the reasons or things that sustains the acquaintances relationship is that it's only convenience that brings you together. Sacrifice does not bring you together. So, it means that for these people, there are things that you share, And because of those things that you share, you find yourself with them as friends. 90% of times when these acquaintances relationship begin to show forth, you will see it in places like the place of work. So you go to your place of work. As a matter of fact, as you grow, you will see that you spend more time in the office or at the office more than even at home. And because you are at work, what happens? You begin to have friends at work. But if you have studied it properly, you will also realize that most of the friendship at the place of work does not translate outside the place of work. So the only thing that brings you together is your work. What happens when you are not at work? You realize those people don't check on you, they don't look for you, they don't need you, they don't have anything to do with you until you come back. That is a relationship of acquaintances. And you must be careful also how you trust that kind of system. Any relationship that has no element of sacrifice cannot really be trusted. You can invest your time in that space, but commitment of values, things that God is releasing into your life, you must be very careful when you begin to commit it to them. Also, don't live your life expecting much from that relationship. Don't expect much. Don't expect that in your trying times they will show up. Don't expect that in your difficult moment those kind of people will show up, because it is a relationship that is only built on convenience. It's the kind of relationship that you sometimes find also in your household. People where you live together, they only remember you when you come out and greet once in a while. When you see that kind of person and then you begin to invest your life, you would be shocked at many levels of disappointment, because the only reason why that person is doing that is because it's a convenient relationship, nothing sacrificial. Let's go quickly to the third one. Number 3, there's a third kind of relationship. There are sisters and they are brothers. As a matter of fact, let me say this about this relationship. This is where true friendship really begins. Friendship is not among strangers. We may call ourselves these names, but true friendship is not among strangers. True friendship is not among acquaintances. True friendship begins from sister and brothers. These are people with shared vision, shared goals, shared purpose. It is why when you look at every religious circle, one of the names that they call their people is that they call their people brothers. It is not because they are talking all the time. It is because there is a vision that they share. There is a value that they share. When you begin to find people who share your value, who share things that you also believe in, that's when you have just begun to find friends. Those are the kind of friendship you should begin to invest in, because you have things that you share. Let's look at it physically from brothers and sisters. What do you share when you have a brother? You share the blood. So there is that blood that you share, and that's the same thing that happens when you find a man, and when you are talking, something in the person's heart begins to beat, and you are sure that this person is going where you are going, because it is extremely dangerous to journey with a man who is not going where you are going. So you need a brother in your life, someone who will be able to fight side by side with you because he believes what you believe. Somebody who will be able to run with you because he wants to see the things that you have shared about your life also come to pass. Let me ask you a question. I was saying it earlier. The brothers of Joseph, were they really his brothers? People who had his dream and wanted to kill him? Absolutely no. So you see that relationship is really not about title. It's about the life, the intent in the heart of men. That's why I began by saying that the heart of man is desperately wicked. And you must have the gift of discernment to know people. You will see people come before you and say one thing, and at your back they are saying something different. That cannot be a brother. So a brother believes in you, wants to see God's plan for your life come to pass. And also you also want to see God's plan for his life also comes to pass. And this is where friendship begins. As God begins to bring you around people who what is in their heart is also what is in your heart, then there's another level. Number 4, there is a relationship called confidence. When people have successfully grown in brotherhood, the next level that they begin to enter is the relationship of confidence. These ones can be called friends because you can be confident in them. They can be trusted. They can be trusted about the issues of your life. They can be trusted about even the challenges of your life because they will cover you. The Bible says something very interesting about God that I love so much. And it is God's ability to cover men. You know, when the Bible is saying that those who cover their sins will not prosper, but there is no one who covers like God. And that's what a friend is supposed to be like. Somebody who is able to cover you. That's why I like Proverbs chapter 18 verse 24. Proverbs chapter 18 verse 24. It speaks about a friend that sticks closer than a brother. That's a confidant. Somebody who will stay with you and you can trust in the difficult moment, in the good moment of your life to always show up for you. Whenever you meet people like that who show up in difficult moments, who show up to celebrate you also in good moments, you are finding a confidant. Whenever you are sure that whenever you are in need, no matter how little, there are people that will show up and see it as a burden, you are finding a confidant. I remember a few weeks back, a brother called me, not a senior brother now, a junior brother, called me, sharing with me a difficult moment of his life. He had fallen into a particular health challenge, a crisis that was affecting his entire system. It was a difficult moment, was looking for somebody to share with. Saw a brother, somebody who thought had the same goal, had the same vision with him, and shared this problem with him. The following week, he began to hear it everywhere. He was so depressed, he was so heartbroken because somebody would not just cover what he told the person in confidence. You see, as I'm telling us the different levels of friendship, I'm also challenging every one of us. You will meet people who God will bring to you, who will want to be close to you. Please don't break people's hearts. Be careful as people begin to trust you with their life issues. Let me stop on the last one for today. And it is the final level of relationship, and it is called the covenant relationship. These are extremely selfless people. This is an example of a David and Jonathan relationship. Those who have become like you, who your lifting is their lifting, your grace is their grace, your joy is their joy. They've become almost one with you. They are seeking your accomplishment. They are seeking your fulfillment. They are seeking God's plan for your life to be fulfilled. Most times you will find this kind of relationship among spouse. Actually, the deepest form of relationship should be among spouse. And it should be a covenant relationship. There are times you will find it among people who are not married. But because of the depth of it, it's usually found among spouses. They are usually the ones who arrive on this role. As I conclude today, I want to say 2 things and then I end here today. Number 1 is let relationship grow in your life. Don't be in a hurry to take someone from a stranger to become a covenant. Let it grow. Give it time. Number 2, relationship must be tested before it is trusted. I'll say that again. Relationship must be tested before it's trusted. The Bible told us about Jesus when he was dealing with his disciples that he selected by himself. The Bible said clearly, he did not commit himself into them because he knew what was in their heart. So he gave them time, 3.5 years, for those relationships to evolve, until the Bible said he looked at them one day and said to them, I no longer call you strangers. Now I'm calling you friends. He allowed the relationship to evolve. And that's what you should do also. My prayer for you is that God will help you in your journey and you will begin to discern relationship accurately. We continue next week on relationship, on wisdom for relationship. God bless you.